Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this open house and listening to us. Today, we will talk about how you can become a Panther engineer. Panther is the mascot of the University of Pittsburgh. And today, we're going to talk, my colleague, Dr. Al Hirschman and I, Pratap Khanvilkar is my name, going to talk about the Master of Science in Bioengineering, specifically focused on medical product engineering. It's a professional master's program. It's a graduate level program that is offered within the Swanson School of Engineering at the University of Pittsburgh, especially the Department of Bioengineering, in collaboration with the Center for Medical Innovation, which is also headquartered in the Department of Bioengineering, but a university-wide center led by Dr. Hirschman, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. I would like to say that questions can be sent to us via chat or in the Q&A of the webinar if you're listening into the webinar, a live webinar. Otherwise, those who are listening asynchronously can email us at the email at the end. So I and Al are essentially the leaders of this program, and there's some more as well. I just joined recently in February of 2024 and have spent about 40 years in medtech doing all kinds of different things, which I'll talk about briefly. And Al, my colleague, whom I worked with 10 years ago when I was at Pittsburgh, at the University of Pittsburgh before, has been in the medtech space for longer than me, and he'll talk about that as well. So today, we would cover the leadership of the program, so you know who's putting on the show, the MS programs and brief overview, and then try to answer questions that all of you may have. Why Pittsburgh? Why the University of Pittsburgh? Why the Department of Bioengineering? Why the professional master's programs? And then we will end with an outline of the program. The rest of the information you can get from our website, and then entertain some Q&A at the end. If it is an online webinar, we'll start with a chat, questions on the chat, and then go to the raise hands format. Again, if it is offline, then you'll just have to email us, get in touch with us with Q&A. So I've spent about 40 years at medtech. I've selected 4 disruptive innovations that have played a part in getting to patients. One is in heart failure. It's an implantable left ventricular assist device. It's like a booster pump for failing end-stage heart failure. And it is designed to be a fully magnetically levitated system, a centrifugal pump, which is now become the standard of care in that late-stage heart failure. In orthopedics, I've worked along with others actually at the University of Pittsburgh and at other universities to develop a different orthopedic material for implants, so for structural support. So traditionally, implants have been made out of stainless steel and titanium alloys, and this is made of resorbable magnesium. And there are a couple of companies in Germany and one in the US that is actually commercializing product based on resorbable magnesium now. On the neurodegenerative disorder side, I have worked on an implantable neurostimulator, and it's unique. I call it 3rd generation because it can simultaneously block and stimulate different nerves at the same time, safely. No one has, to my knowledge, has done that before. And then the last technology that I've worked on with others, I was a member of the founding team of this company that we took public on the NASDAQ a couple of years ago for more than $500 million market cap, is a robotic capsule, if you will, that you swallow, which has biological drugs in it as the payload. And that's been one of the holy grails of pharmaceutical industry for a long time, how to deliver these long chain, naturally occurring peptides and proteins and amino acids without the stomach eating it away and making it useless. So right now you've got to get injections and IV to do it. So we are providing this platform for a wide variety of biological drugs to be delivered by just swallowing a pill that people are used to. So I have worked in many different roles, and mostly as an entrepreneur, really, founded about 20 plus companies in different roles, had 3 exits, a few number of patents that all have been commercialized, have sold my company to a public and been an officer of that company, been an investor as well, and also importantly, growing ecosystems in medtech in the United States and abroad as well, and taught bioengineering and business in the USA and in India, including being the founding director of the Cold to Pit translational program that I'll allude to later on. And most importantly, in this context, served as a mentor, both as a teacher and as an entrepreneur of many people whom I've hired who have gone on to bigger and better things and become medtech leaders on their own standing. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Al Hirschman, to introduce himself.
Thank you, Dr. Krumelka. Okay, so currently I am a professor of bioengineering at the Swanson School of Engineering at the University of Pittsburgh, where I've been now since 2011. At that time, I founded the MS-MPE program, MPE meaning Medical Product Engineering program, within the Department of Bioengineering. I have worked in industry, the medical products industry, primarily at Bayer Healthcare, which formerly was a company called Medrad. I've worked there for 30 years or more, and worked mostly at the front end of new products. Medrad and Bayer primarily developed equipment for use in diagnostic and therapeutic radiology and cardiology, including contrast media injection systems, MR imaging coils or imaging devices, and a number of other products for those markets. So I have done quite a bit of inventing while I was there before I came to the University of Pittsburgh. My expertise is primarily in design and development of electromechanical systems, and I've served in the capacity as a project manager, program manager for major programs at Bayer. I spent the last 5 to 10 years of my career there as in a business development capacity, helping to build the company's strategy for new product development and mergers and acquisitions to grow the company. Worked on intellectual property and strategy for IP, and some effort in quality and regulatory systems, including helping to put in place a documented product development process to comply with FDA's quality management systems directives. Next slide.
Oops. Sorry.
Very briefly, the leadership of the professional master's programs in bioengineering at the University of Pittsburgh. I'd like to point out these individuals. Right in the middle there, Dr. Harvey Borovitz was actually the founder or co-founder of the bioengineering program at the university. Has had a long and distinguished career and continues to this day, primarily in the area of cardiovascular devices and artificial organs. He was a key player in the development of PediaFlow, a pediatric LVAD. Dr. Gandhi, Niraj Gandhi, Raj Gandhi at the left, is currently the vice chair of graduate programs at within the department, handles the PhD students and their research. He is also the director of the master's program in neural engineering. And also Paul Kunze on the right is the assistant director, assistant to Dr. Kamalkar for the administration of MS programs. Today I'm going to be talking about the professional non-thesis master's programs in bioengineering. I will not discuss the research or thesis programs. That would be for another time, another webinar. So I'm going to be talking about the various elements of the Master of Science program at the university within the Department of Bioengineering. It's a 30 credit program, which is typically completed in 3 terms, with the summer term typically being used for industry internship or some kind of a research internship to help our students experience the world of work in this field. The 2 elements of the master's program are the Master's of Medical Product Engineering and also Neural Engineering. We have a cooperative program with the Katz School of Business at the university, where a student typically earns, in 3 years, a Master of Science in one of our professional programs, plus the MBA. And it takes it takes 64.5 credits, typically can be completed in 3 years. We also offer a certificate program in medical product innovation, the so-called CMPI. It's a 15 credit program, which has many of the same core requirements as the MS MPE. It's typically a one-year program, and it is open to any student, whether they're in STEM or not, as long as they have a baccalaureate degree.
So I will take over and describe where is Pittsburgh. It's called the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. It's on the western side of the state, as you can see on the far right there, with Philadelphia being on the east coast side of Pennsylvania. And it's really the culture, I would say, is a mix of East Coast and Midwest culture. And it's one of the 13 original colonies that formed the USA way back in 1776. Pittsburgh itself, the city, was founded a little earlier than that in 1758. And the University of Pittsburgh was founded in 1787. So we've been around for almost 250 years now. The city of Pittsburgh is really the Silicon Valley of the industrial age, and has been reinvented with what we call EDS and MEDS, education and medical healthcare. And that's why it makes it such a vibrant hub for the life sciences and bioengineering. And it's a city that you see downtown here, which is really on the left-hand side. There's a fountain and lots of bridges and tunnels with 2 rivers. What you're seeing up front is the Monongahela, and then behind it is the Allegheny River. They're joining on the left to form the Ohio River. So it's really a good metaphor for joining of various streams and disciplines and building bridges to make good things happen, which is what we do in bioengineering and medical devices. So why Pittsburgh? It's consistently ranked as the #1 most livable city in the United States. Top 10 quality of life, #7. Top 10 according to Yelp in foodie lovers. There's a lot of immigrants from all over the world who have made Pittsburgh their home. They're welcome here, and they bring their culinary traditions to Pittsburgh as well. We are supposed to be going into worldwide as the top 25 city for an industrial hub of the future, and we are actively been doing that for the last 20, 30 years. And it's a top city to work for hybrid work, and then also in the top 10 to find a job for STEM professionals. So, and then why Pitt inside the city of Pittsburgh? So we're the #1 public university in the Northeast, top 25 program in graduate engineering in the United States. A thriving medtech industry base. We have 90 plus medtech manufacturers employing about 6,000 people. So great place to find opportunities for internships and job experiences and business advice as well with working professionals, and about 6,000 life science healthcare. So that includes hospitals and labs, and including the companies that I mentioned, and large companies as well. The hospital system called UPMC, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, is one of number 15 nationally. And I will talk about how proximal we are as a department to these two hospitals, Presbyterian and Shadyside. And that's why we have an extremely close working relationship with clinicians here in the bioengineering program. We are very well funded, number 3 nationwide from the National Institutes of Health. That is the premier biomedical funding agency in the United States. And we, as a university, have an operating budget of more than $1 billion. So a lot of great research, both basic and applied research, is being done. And that is the wellspring, if you will, from some of those become promising products and technologies that can then be taken to market, which is what we teach in this program. We are also, as a region, getting organizations like Pitt, working with Carnegie Mellon, working with health systems to make Pittsburgh the leading life science ecosystem in the world. Eventually, it'll take some time, but we're there, and it's great that all these big players, including the foundations, if I may add, that support this effort. So these foundations are founded based on our earlier industrial success and steel and consumer products like Heinz, and financial industry entrepreneurship and development like Mellon, to put money back into the development of the region. And they do it in spades and hundreds of millions of dollars every year. So the bioengineering graduate program is, as a public, we are in the top 5 and top 25 overall graduate bioengineering program in the country. So I'll turn it back to Al, my colleague, and he'll take it from there.
Thank you. All right. So we pride ourselves on having developed some wonderful collaborations with other schools within the university, and also significant connections with other universities and with industry partners in the region. We have established a program, a master's program, that brings in students from other engineering departments and also from other schools within the university, including the School of Medicine, the other schools of health sciences, public health, Katz School of Business, and the School of Law. We have established connections with the Innovation Institute, primarily through our academic program and our Center for Medical Innovation, which works with the Innovation Institute to help early stage technologies go from bench to bedside. So their role in the university is to out-license university technologies or to create startups, new businesses, and possibly bring in support from companies in industry to help support research efforts at the university. We have outstanding connections with the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. The medical center is really a block away from the engineering center. And so those collaborations are close in many ways, including geographically. with the help of the Schools of Health Sciences and the Innovation Institute, we've been able to create new businesses that present opportunities for our students to work in established companies, growing companies, or to start their own as entrepreneurs. And we have some good examples of that. We've established over the years, of the last decade or more, networking connections with the investment community, with accelerators like LifeX and Innovation Works to help bring early stage ideas to the market. But I'd like to introduce our Center for Medical Innovation, which is basically it's an organization within the Department of Bioengineering. An organization within the Department of Bioengineering that helps connect researchers within the School of Medicine and within the School of Engineering to bring early stage ideas to fruition. So I wanted to give an opportunity for one of our clinical guides, our clinical mentors who works with our students, to give his view of the how the CMI has helped him and helped our students.
Well, obviously, our students are our future. They are the people who are going to be moving the mission forward. We need to work with them. We need to teach them the techniques, the scientific method, the methods of innovation that we're doing, how to identify the unmet needs. So it's an incredibly rich experience for the students because they're working with seasoned professors in engineering, seasoned professors in clinical departments, seasoned experts in the business realm, and they're really learning how these people can work together to develop new technologies and bring these into the clinical landscape. I think for our students, oftentimes they can be in a silo of their own discipline or of their own department. And what CMI helps to do is to broaden their horizon, to develop these interactions with people in different departments and different disciplines. So you have these cross-functional teams that are working toward a common goal. And that's one of the very important things that our students are exposed to.
So what Al was talking about is essentially a key thing. What we do is we regard this biome for medtech success to consist of what you just heard Dr. Rubin say about an unmet clinical need being provided by a clinician, usually a world-class clinician. And we support that and match that, and that's what CMI does. Typically is with a bioengineer, scientist, or a biologist, someone on the science and engineering side that can then work with the clinician to provide a solution to that unmet need. And then, of course, to take it out of the university and into the hands of patients, we typically need a business lead to take that idea forward, that concept, and make it real. And this is the basic nature of what we teach at the MSMP program. So Pitt is uniquely situated, bioengineering in particular, that we play a pivotal role, the department, across the whole spectrum of what we have been talking about. So inside of Pitt, starting from the left-hand side, we of course have one of the nation's leading funded centers for healthcare life science research, as I talked about, from NIH funding, NSF funding, DoD funding. So that's where it starts, really, is great ideas being researched within the university setting, professors and our students coming up with inventive ideas, filing patents, and then for organizations like the CMI and other later stage organizations to take that baton that our researchers come up with and that idea and then advance it forward so it becomes attractive as either a startup company or a license out of the university which is handled by the Innovation Institute that we have close relationships with. And then, of course, we can push out of the university, and then there are partners like accelerators like LifeX and Innovation Works locally that we have deep relationships with that will pull that idea out into the startup world or into established companies as well. So our professors and students in bioengineering have deep relationships, again, across the spectrum. They're involved. Our MSMP students are interning at all these stages to give them a flavor for what it takes to take an idea and convert it into reality. So the bioengineering-led program, /Nation Research, Dr. Hirschman, of course, leads the Center for Medical Innovation. He founded it and has been the founding director and been there since, is focused on early stage, higher risk proof of concept, an idea to convert that into a working prototype, test it on the bench, maybe test it in an animal or so. And we have engaged a lot of departments that way in Pitt, 73 and 100 students, funded 84 projects, about $10,000 to $25,000 each, which has led to 15 startups and about 4 licenses. So a good hit rate, given the early stage and the higher risk nature of the projects that CMI funds and invites to submit for funding. The later stage program that we ran for about 11 years then takes those lower risk reduced projects and provides the gap funding that's necessary for it to either show viability as a startup business or as a license, or not show viability in some cases. So we have received the Coulter program, 260 applications, engaged with 38 departments at the University of Pittsburgh, and funded 39 projects. So at about $100,000 to $200,000 each, so a much higher level of funding, but it takes that much money to advance that from the early concept to something that is commercializable, if you will, either through a startup, as I mentioned. So the Coulter program has had 10 startups, and that has achieved more than $21 million in follow-on funding. So the return on investment from 3.5 to 21 has been good from a financial standpoint, and also led to licenses and options. So that's why the Department of Bioengineering is a great place to plug into, because we have all these established relationships, connections, success stories that if you enroll as a student here, you will be part of that ecosystem and relationships. So the key framework for the professional curriculum is really the situation typically is that maybe someone's thinking of a market, an unmet need, and there's a technology, but in academia, it typically starts off with the technology looking for a problem to solve, a market. But what we do is we turn it on its head and believe, and the results have shown it, that we need to first know the target, the market, the unmet need, and work our way backwards towards what do we need to start off with to meet the needs of that market. So we connect the dots in this program. Our coursework that you can get more details on our website is we consider the external environment that dictates what's going on at a particular point in time. And then focus on the market first, the unmet need, what will it take to get this, the need adopted in the clinic, in the workflow, reimbursement issues, how will that be paid for? That is important from a business standpoint. And then fill in the dots. Once you know what your unmet need is and the market you want to address, then you can fill in the dots, work backwards, if you will, so that the time and expense needed is minimized and the risk is reduced. And the first step would be regulatory and clinical trials that are backwards, saying what do we need from the FDA in the United States? What clinical trials are needed to support getting marketing approval? Then what testing in the orange dot, bench and animal testing has to be done to be ready for clinical trials? and then what product development has to take place to make a product that the customers will buy, and right at the design stage. And of course, address issues like intellectual property and manufacturability at that time, because we have to be able to make it at high scale to be successful. Then the financing process also is needed to be done to finance this whole enterprise, which can get really expensive, and a team, an organization, and suppliers, stakeholders have to be formed. So all that will be covered in the coursework of the MSMB program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Al again to go into the coursework.
Thank you. Yeah, so the whole reason for structuring a program like this is Dr. Khanwilkar covered very nicely. What we try to do for our students is to take them through that typical development process that they would experience in industry, to really give them early opportunities to work in teams in order to kind of simulate that process that they would have, that they would experience in the work world, hit the ground running in the first job out of the program. So the MPE program, Medical Product Engineering, it's a 3-semester program, typically, although 30 credits. Some courses there are some core courses that we'll go over. It provides an opportunity for clinical immersion, to actually work with clinicians on clinical problems, to identify unmet needs, to use techniques of needs finding, ethnography, observations, shadowing in the clinic, employing the principles of design thinking, certain types of concept generation techniques, brainstorming, prototype development, early stage modeling and simulation. Then we take the students from the front end of the new product process into product development, a more formal process needed to march through the regulatory steps, human factors, systems engineering, also considering reimbursement, regulatory requirements, and everything needed to take the product to a commercial environment. We give the students some experience in doing market analysis, developing a business plan, and a project management plan that could be presented, let's say, to a management team within an industrial organization. We do that through a wide range of core courses plus electives, including entrepreneurship, human factors engineering, artificial organ technologies, medical devices for low resource environments. And we give our students the experience of working with 3D printing, various kinds of machine tools that they can actually build and test prototypes. So the benefits of earning a master's, we have found statistics that show that the mean annual salary for a bioengineer, something like $100K. The field of bioengineering is still a growth industry that has grown 20% since 2012. And Pennsylvania is among the within the top 10 states, the highest employment of bioengineers. We have a program that is quite viable for those students. What I'd like to do is to maybe give the students a chance to speak. We have a number of alumni. You can read about their stories, their career journeys on our website. When this website will be posted, you could cut and paste some of those URLs and explore biographies and blogs from our students who launch careers out of our program. I'd like to introduce Ms. Shaya, Amy Shaya, who was one of our early graduates from our program. She actually received a certificate. She was a PhD student rather than a master's student, but she worked closely with our Center for Medical Innovation. I'd like her to give you a perspective on how the program works and what it did for her.
I was really attracted to the CMI because all throughout my undergraduate and graduate studies, I took a lot of excellent courses that provided a good foundation of engineering principles, but I felt like something was missing. I really wanted to learn more about medical product development and commercialization. So the Office of Technology Management here actually has some great courses on entrepreneurship and tech commercialization, but it's all more from an academic standpoint. And so I wanted to know how those things were also done in industry. And I thought that the CMI courses were a perfect fit for that. Well, in the medical product development course, we learned about a lot of different aspects of medical product development, including maybe IP, regulatory, and reimbursement strategies. And then we were able to apply that knowledge to develop our own business plan. And for me, I was actually able to use my own thesis work, which is designing medical devices for bone fracture fixation. I was able to use that as the focus of this business plan. So it was a really useful exercise for me to actually think, okay, what if I was to take these devices and start a company? What kind of things would I have to consider? And I've now noticed that I've been able to incorporate that in my thesis work, and it's allowed me to approach my engineering from a broader mindset. So before, maybe I was just focused on the technology and the specifics of its construction, but now I'm also trying to keep myself, constantly aware of the clinical problem that I'm working to solve and thinking about the feasibility of bringing that device as a commercial product or something that would be used in patients. The CMI courses are unique in that they're very hands-on and very dynamic. So with the medical product ideation course, we actually had a different guest lecturer each week, and this provided a really broad range of expertise for us to learn from. We also had the opportunity in that course to apply what we were learning to solve a real med tech problem. So we were paired with a clinical advisor who sort of pitched to us a problem that they see in the clinic. And then as a multidisciplinary team, we worked to provide a novel solution to that. So that exercise really reinforced all the techniques we were learning in the course. And similarly, the medical product development course was very hands-on. We learned about the different aspects of a business plan and of medical device development, and then applied those to formulate our own business plan. Well, I'm very interested in medical device design. I'm really motivated by translational research that I feel will actually affect patients someday. So I really enjoy this project in that I'm able to see something from ideation all the way through prototyping and actually preclinical trials. So to see that whole process unfold, I think is very interesting. I've definitely gained a better understanding of the ideation process and all of the aspects of medical device development. So I've learned some really useful ideation techniques that I think I could carry through to a possible career in new product development. And also just a strengthened understanding of all the aspects of product development, how they fit together. I think that will be very useful if I transition from academia to industry.
Okay, at this point, I would like to give you another testimonial
program
from
as a clinician
one of our graduates of the MSMPE program. He is a physician. Dr. Garrett Coyne,
McGowan Institute has
who actually started a small company
technologies
as
out into a new startup.
Well, he was here as
I
a
serve in
student.
that startup. Our team at the McGowan Institute has recently spun our heart valve technologies out into a new startup. I serve in that startup as the chief medical officer, board of director, and a co-founder. This wouldn't have been possible without using all the skills I learned in the CMI programs.
Go ahead.
Yes, okay. I'll continue at this point with the slide. students who graduated from our master's program have been employed by companies large and small. Some of them shown here, some of them are local to our region, others are multinational, others are small startups. We also have encouraged our students to take the entrepreneurial route, and a few of them have, by starting their own companies. Next slide. Next slide.
Yeah, you're there.
Yes, I'd like to talk about the application process for those who are interested in joining us. You are required to submit your transcripts, 2 letters of recommendation, a personal statement, short essay basically, your resume, and an application fee. Although we are waiving the application fee for attendees, for in-person attendees of this webinar. The fall applications for 2024 are due June 15th, and international students can apply right away. We do not require the GRE for application to our graduate program.
So in closing, I would like to thank you for your attention. And you can contact us at these emails that you have for myself and Mr. Kunza, as well as Dr. Hirschman. And you can also apply if you're interested in applying directly at the website shown there. And appreciate your attention and hope to see you at PET where it is possible. Thank you.
Thank you.